A slightly different flavour for Trackwork this week as we made our way to the Canterbury Quarantine Centre to welcome the first group of international horses off the plane. They arrived on Monday, and among those, the world's best sprinter, Ying Rising. He had a quiet morning. He was out there just to have a little poke around, nothing too out of the ordinary, and then we got to have a good look at him when he made his way in front of the cameras here. He's got so much presence, he's got size, he's got strength. He's come on actually since I saw him in Hong Kong a couple of months ago, and all reports are that he's travelled in exceptional order. We hear from his trainer David Hayes via video link a little bit later, and as well our Golden Eagle heroine Lake Forest from the William Haggis stable was here this morning. We heard from Izzy Paul that she's really pleased with how he's come over here. He's a more furnished horse this time around. He's not overly tall, he's a small nuggety type, but she said his demeanour as well is much better than when we saw him for his Golden Eagle win. He's got that turn of speed that suits Australian racing, and she's really pleased with him. Sam Hawkins will join the stable of John O'Shea and Tom Charlton after his run in the St Ledger, all coming up on Everest Day. It's going to be a very busy few weeks here at the Canterbury Quarantine Centre, with more horses arriving over the next couple of weeks. But we have all the latest from this morning's Trackwork at Canterbury Quarantine.
Charlie, so far so good with what you've seen of the horses that have come out so far from the quarantine?
That's right. So this year so far we have 3 horses that have arrived at Canterbury Park. We have obviously Ying Rising, who has brought a friend, Ying Cheer. We have Lake Forest from William Haggis, as well as Sam Hawkins. All horses have travelled well, they've travelled safely. I was in yesterday to have a look at them, so my role as a regulatory vet for Racing New South Wales is to ensure their health and their safety when they're training here, and as an oversight before they race. So I was in yesterday to do a physical exam of the horses, to take samples for prohibited substance testing, and just to check their overall health and talk with the team, and so far so good.
A friend, you just mentioned.
Yes.
Do they travel better with another horse?
Yes, so horse welfare is something that's obviously very important to racing, and one of the things we recognise is the importance of social interactions to horses, and they take a lot of happiness, I suppose, and it calms them when they have a friend.
Ying Rising, I think, apparently just made it with only hours to spare out of Hong Kong due to the big super typhoon that struck that region. Does that create any stress for the animal, or once it's on the plane it's all good to go?
Once it's on the plane it's good to go, yes.
When they get here physically, what are you looking for in terms of the horse that might tell you that it didn't travel well, or it has? Like, what are the physical signs?
So sometimes, pretty rarely actually, horses travel really well on planes, which astounds me. So I've been coming into the quarantine for about 8 years, and they come off the plane looking like they've just come off a short float trip, which is quite astounding when they come such a long way. But I guess we take precautions with these horses. They're on big pallets, so they have lots of space, so they can put their heads down and they can still act like a normal horse. They can see their friend. But the things that we're looking for is, have they dropped in condition? Are they stressed? Do they have any wounds? Are they off their feed? Do they have a temperature? These are the kinds of things we're looking for.
In Ying Rising in particular, was there anything you noticed or saw in him?
No, yesterday he looked very well. Looked like he got off a short float trip. Lots of energy, coat shining. I'm sure you've all seen him this morning. He looks very impressive.
What are some of the main challenges for them? What are some things that when a horse doesn't travel well that might pop up?
So some of them, I suppose, can lose condition, which might be a concern when we're coming into a big race. So a lot of the horses here arrive 14 days before their race, and so obviously 14 days in, it's not a lot of time, so we need to make sure they're still eating well, they haven't sustained any injuries, any abrasions, any cuts, swellings, anything like that. They'd be the concern, but none of that here, which is good.
A lot of people don't know what it looks like inside an aircraft when a horse travels. Can you paint a picture for us what the conditions look like?
Well, to be honest, I've actually never been on one of these aeroplanes. So, One of the travelling strappers would probably do a better job than that, but my understanding is they're like stables in the sky. They're big pallets, and you have a choice of 1 pallet or 2 pallets, and these horses usually get 2, so it's a lot of space for them.
And regarding their health while travelling, you said horse welfare is so incredibly important. They wear protective gear, don't they?
Yes, and they also travel with a vet on board. So if anything was to happen, there's a vet there to administer first aid or to give some sedation to help the horse calm.
And it's obviously a long flight from Hong Kong to Sydney, around 9.5 hours. Regarding keeping the horse happy and healthy, how much can they feed them? Water, what does that look like?
So it's generally the same as if they were here in a stable. They're fed the same. I think the important thing is that everything is kept the same. So if the horse is comfortable and calm, they can be kept to the same routine. But if they were slightly stressed or they had to be sedated or anything like that, which doesn't happen very commonly, then they would reduce the feed because you don't want any secondary implications.
And regarding routine, do horses suffer from jet lag, the same as humans?
I don't think so, looking at these ones.
Perfect.
What's it like for you working with the best sprinter in the world?
Aren't I lucky? It's pretty amazing, isn't it, working with a movie star like him, but also all our horses here in Sydney. I think we're so lucky. We have the most amazing horses here. So I do have to pinch myself all the time. How did I end up here working with these beautiful horses on race day and behind the scenes? Very lucky.
Is he a movie star? Yeah.
I think he is.
Do you think seeing hundreds of horses, I would assume, in your job, what makes him stand out?
He has this kind of look at me presence, doesn't he? When he walks around, he has this air about him. He knows we're all here for him. Obviously, there are other 2 horses in here which are also very special. You know, we have a special place for Lake Forest because he won the Golden Eagle last year, also very fast, special horse. So yes.
How often will a horse surprise you? Like, you know, when you see it for the first time, you might think, oh, Kaying's a movie star, but then how often is it that they go and track and you think, oh, that's, you know, that could actually be quite a good horse too?
I think horses like him come around not very frequently. So that's what I would say. Lake Forest, though, is a very spunky little horse, and last year he had a lot of energy and showed us a lot of his character, which is always fun to see their different personalities.
Mentioning character, it takes a particular type of horse to be able to travel such a long distance and handle these conditions. What have you seen from the personalities of the likes of Ying Rising and Lake Forest?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? These horses which seem to really shine on the racetrack, they do have quite an out there personality type, don't they? They have this presence of I'm quick and I know it, and they really stand out, don't they, here and also on a race day when they're walking around the mounting yard. Everyone knows they're special, and they certainly do. So yeah.
Do you find that if they've got a little bit more of that boldness, that character about them, that they're generally a little bit more highly strung, and then that can affect their health and stress levels when travelling, or they're just so confident that it doesn't matter?
I do find that these horses, which seem to be really fast, have, like you're saying, this personality where it does feel like they're almost on an edge because they love what they're doing and they're ready to go and they're ready to show us what they're made of. In terms of veterinary, how it affects the veterinary side of things, I think all we want to do is wrap them in cotton wool because we feel like at any moment they might hit a fence or kick the box or do something like that. So we're always very kind of on edge, but generally, no, they're fine.
Have you ever had a situation like that you've had to manage?
No, but I am always on edge.
Touch wood.
Particularly here yesterday, we took blood samples for prohibited substance testing and we trot up just here behind me. This is our trot up track, and I am always on edge when I pull these horses out because in my role I don't want to be getting in the way or influencing in any way their preparation coming into a race. I don't want to have a big effect. So the last thing I want is a horse to rear up or kick out and inadvertently kick the fence or something like that. So
Welcome back, Izzy. It's so great to see you. How
Nice to
many
see you.
years is it now?
I think this is it's my 6th trip for the boss, but we did 2 last year and this is my 2nd this year. So I've worked for him for just over 5 years. So I think, about 5 years worth of coming down, which is mad.
Well, you have all the good luck, so you have to keep coming back.
Yeah, we seem to do okay.
Lake Forest, how did he travel? And I guess he's almost a globetrotter these days, so he's probably used to it.
Yeah, I mean, last year he was great. It was sort of a bit of an unknown, and he's a bit younger than the horses that we usually bring down here, and he's been exactly the same this year. He's not left a single nut from any of his feeds, eating his hay really well, and he lost a couple of kilos on the flight, but hardly anything at all, and he's bounced straight back up to what he was pre-flight, so really, really happy with how he is.
What's the reasoning behind targeting the King Charles?
I think, the mile will suit him. He obviously ran a great race over 7 in the City of York, probably a little bit unlucky that day, but I think his running style will really suit a mile. He obviously ran over a mile at Ascot, finished 5th in a tough Queen Anne, but he looks to be a horse, because he's quite lazy early doors, and then he kind of comes home with a huge amount of speed. I think Australian racing really suits him, where he has got that turn of foot, and the mile should suit him as well.
He's not an overly big horse, he's a little nuggety, muscly type, but watching him this morning, he looks as though he's furnished since we saw him last.
Yeah, definitely, actually. He's sort of filled out a little bit. He's definitely not grown upwards, but he might have he never feels like a small horse to ride. He's fairly solid, so you don't feel like you're going to kind of fall off the side of him or anything like that. So he's a nice horse, and that little bit older and probably a little bit more sensible as well. He's always been cheeky, but he's just a little bit more gentlemanly than he was.
Last time you were here, he went first up into a Golden Eagle. This will be a different story this time with a couple of runs. What's the plan?
I think just sort of see how we go. We'll keep him nice and fresh. He went into the Lennox at Goodwood pretty fresh and finished 2nd that day. Again, probably a little bit unlucky, but that's kind of his running style. Makes him a little bit unlucky on occasion. We'll just do what we normally do with him, keep them nice and fresh and just ticking over and see how we go.
And we've touched on horses travelling, but you know them so well. In terms of other horses that you've brought out here, how does he compare stepping off the truck from the plane?
I think he's probably as easy, if not even easier, than sort of Dubai Honour. He's just so hardy. He loves food, so that's sort of the main thing. The minute they're eating and drinking, they're fine, and he's not one that's ever going to skip a meal. So. It makes him a super easy horse to deal with, and they both came out here this morning and they're impeccably behaved, and that helps as well. They're not silly, so it makes them easy.
Have you been caught up in the Ying Rising hype as well? Have you managed to catch a bit of a glimpse?
He's absolutely gorgeous. He doesn't look like a sprinter at all, but pretty blown away, and it's pretty exciting to be here with him as well. Like it's quite cool, and I heard David Hayes on Nick Luck yesterday saying they're kind of using the turf because it's what we always do, which is quite nice. And it's great to sort of be a part of it. And obviously the 2 boys are going to run on the same day, so that'll be exciting as well.
Just back on Lake Forest, I loved his run in the City of York Stakes. Is it bold in saying that he, on paper, looks like he's returned in even better form to Sydney?
Yeah, I think probably he missed a lot of races before the Golden Eagle last year, either to do with kind of ground or he was silly at York one day and got his leg over the back of the gate. So we kind of missed a few runs where he should have run. But I thought the City of York run was really, really strong, and hopefully he can come out and give us some nice performances down here as well.
And Tom Marquand, Aussie Tom, obviously rode him in that. Will he be coming over to Sydney to ride him?
I'm not sure he'll come to Sydney. It clashes with Champions Day at Ascot, so it's a little bit tricky, but I think hopefully the plan, all being well, is to send Lake Forest down for the Champions Mile in Melbourne, and I'm pretty sure Tom would come out for that, but I think there's been a few discussions jockey booking wise, so hopefully there's something in the pipeline anyway.
Can you give us a hint?
I better not, just in case.
And And then just lastly, from a Trackwork perspective, did they just have a look around this morning, an easy morning?
Yeah, literally just, we're always pretty easy on them the first couple of days, and they literally we did 2 laps trotting around the poly track. They'll do a sort of lap of trot and a lap of canter around there tomorrow, and then we'll start getting them out on the grass on Saturday.
I have one for you.
Yeah.
It's not to do with spring, but just reflecting on your last trip with Dubai Honour, winning the Tancred, and then of course that fantastic run in the Queen Elizabeth. Tell us a little bit about Dubai Honour and your experience in the autumn.
Oh, it was great. You know, he's a horse that is sort of probably my absolute all-time favourite. He's the kindest horse on the planet and also possibly the toughest. You know, to still be doing what he's doing at 7 years old, you know, he'll be 8 next year, is phenomenal. It's sort of really special to have the colours up on the winning post as well, especially as his owner actually unfortunately died a couple of weeks afterwards. So all of that kind of made it a pretty special trip, and obviously to get beat is hard, but to get beat by a mare as good as Via Sistina, you know, it's one of those things. He went to Baden-Baden about 3 weeks ago and finished second in another Group 1, so I think that tallies up 5 Group 1s he's been second in, and he's won 4, so he's a pretty special horse, and it was great to be back down here in autumn, and it's lovely to be here again.
You know, the Australian sprinters are famous around the world, so you've got to respect them, and they're you know, obviously last week's winner, Jolly Star, was very impressive. Lady Shellendale was incredibly unlucky. We see her this Friday. We'll be watching her closely. And the new 3-year-old that Chris Waller's 4-year-old that Chris Waller's just nominated, who was incredibly unlucky in the Group 1. So it's not going to be a walk in the park. But I'd say if ratings are any guide, they all need to probably improve on their current ratings to beat him, I think. The thing about the horse, he's got wonderful technical speed. He's won races from the front, and he's probably been more impressive winning from just off the speed. But he's got an incredible ability to, when you start a horse, normally especially a speed horse, they tend to over race. That can give this horse a bit of a dig along, and then he comes back under him, and that's why he's so special. He got out 36 hours before, so he got out on an amber storm, but I was very pleased to see the videos of him safely in Sydney, because it was a pretty aggressive storm here. The airport got shut. It's probably open again now. Trackwork here, the horses were confined to quarters for a day, and there was a storm surge of 4 metres. Sha Tin racecourse wasn't impacted, but big parts of Hong Kong was. And everything's okay today, so we're moving on. Yeah, he's in great order. He's got some new shoes on, and he's settled in and enjoying having a pick of the grass outside the stable. And he's actually more relaxed in Australia than he is in Hong Kong, which is a good sign, I think. Yeah, he's physically about a 20-pound stronger horse. He did lose, I think, 22 pounds if the scales are correct, or they're calibrated the same, because the Hong Kong scales may be different than. But the most important thing is he's eating his feed, he's drinking his food, and there's a consistent weight in Australia. So we reset. I'm expecting him to be racing now at about 140 to 145, and he's virtually undefeated at that weight. So I'm not concerned about his weight. He's carrying terrific condition. I think very important that he's working obviously on his own all the time in the quarantine, and that'll be a bit of competitive company to trial against. He won't be out to break records, but we'll certainly let him increase the last 200 metres in the trial to stretch his legs out. It's just as important for my staff to have a dress rehearsal of what to expect at Randwick, and so the horse and staff they get a trip in the float. Here in Hong Kong, we walk to the track, and we're basically at the races and we're home. In Australia, he's got to settle in and do things. So Yeah, that's a very important day for him. I'll be down there monitoring how the horse is coping and pointing the staff in the right direction. In Hong Kong, he gets what we call a bit jig-joggy and keen to get on with it when he goes out to work through the tunnels. And in the tunnels, sometimes there's between 40 and 100 horses going in and out. And just so many horses around him, he fizzes up a little bit. Then when he gets out on the track, he's lovely and relaxed and is a pleasure. But in Canterbury, where he's the only horse in town, or only horse on the track, he's walking out on the track as a trainer would love him to, and not getting too stirred up, and he's his usual relaxed self while cantering. So I think that's just a big plus, that he's not getting excited in the mornings. More relaxed. The more relaxed we can keep him, the more he's probably going to put up his best performance. Well, initially my sons had him at Lindsay Park, and he was galloping like a nice horse. And then after his second trial, one of my sons rang me and said, "Dad, I think this one's pretty good. I suggest that he's good enough to come to Hong Kong." And of course, we brought him. And then with me, he was ticking along really well, winning all these trials here. And he did get beaten by a short half head a couple of times at his third and fourth run. But then on about his fifth or sixth run, when he started winning, he carried 62 kilos as a 3-year-old against older horses, drew barrier 14 on a slightly rain-affected track. Very hard for 3-year-olds to give older horses weight, and he absolutely trotted up and won by about 4 lengths, easing down, nearly breaking the course record, carrying that weight. I thought, well, you have to be very special to do that. And then here we are 10 runs later, still undefeated. I think he's on his 13th, but it was about his fourth run I really knew always knew he was good, but not special. And from that point on, I knew he was very special. Oh, look, it's very special. When horses get 10 straight, they're in rarefied air. And to have a horse that can be compared with Black Caviar, a sprinter, or, the mighty Winks, we feel very privileged. And look, he's got another season of undefeated racing to go if he's to be compared to those horses. But at the 13 win mark, he is being compared, and that's quite an honour. Prue and I have probably got bigger thrills out of watching the children develop and win their races. We were stuck up here through COVID, and they really did it all on their own. And they've got their own clientele. They've developed their own horses. And it just, as I said, gives me great pleasure. But if they have a runner in the race, which maybe War Machine might put his hand up out of the Stradbroke, it'll give me great pleasure to kick their butt. It'll be good. Horses change legs when they're under pressure and they need to lift. And this horse is doing it on the wrong leg. So it just shows you, at times on the wrong leg. Look, in his last gallop, he changed legs. And in his last race, he changed legs. And Zach's just very excited for when he regularly does it, because he knows there's another trick to his resume, and he'll only get better when he does. So I do think there's still improvement in this horse. I'm looking like Zach will be coming back because he's got riding commitments for those meetings. I'll probably stay down with the horse from the trial into the race. Definitely trial, because I just want to see how the horse handles it and what I need to do after. And Zach will be in and out, flying in and out, and he'll come down close to the race. His regular riding boy will do most of the work at quarantine.